Well, we've got an unusual pattern setting up for Christmas in some areas, and if you're hoping for a white Christmas, I think there is some hope for some of you. Not everyone is going to see the snow. We're going to break that down in today's video. Thanks for checking it out today, guys. Let's just get started with the maps. We'll talk about what's going on in the upper levels, and I want to show you how this is going to drive our weather and the really warm temperatures that we're going to see Christmas, the week after Christmas, and I think I'm just going to go out on a limb. I think there's a chance for some snow in areas maybe where we've not seen it just yet. We're getting some snow right now into the Northeast. Some of that got heavy right here along Rhode Island. I was talking about that in the last video update from Rhode Island up to Massachusetts, and we certainly are seeing that. Once this trough starts to lift out, the temperatures will start to warm up a little bit, but we're mild across a lot of the central country with southerly flow, a decent ridge building here. Temperatures will be the coldest of the season in many areas of the Northeast. We're going to go section by section of the country in just a moment. But again, I just want to kind of give you the big picture of what we're looking at and how unusually warm we'll be as we head toward Christmas. Now, one thing to note, you've got this little disturbance here. Can you see it right here? It's this little ripple in the upper level heights that's swinging through the Great Lakes. That's going to be your Christmas snow, I think, as we head from really out of the Great Lakes into the Northeast, the 23rd and the 24th, and then another strong system crashes into the West Coast. This is going to be a huge rainmaker and a big wind maker too, and some heavy snow into the mountains too. A lot of warm air up here into Canada. Temperatures go way above average, and man, I'll tell you, could we be looking at some severe weather here on Christmas across the South? If not, maybe with this system too, as it kicks out into Texas. So this could put some severe weather from Kansas down into Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. I think it needs watched as we head into next week with this cold pool of air that moves aloft through this region. Let's start off with the sensible weather across the country. This is the precipitation as we head through Saturday. There's your snow exiting the Northeast, some lake effect snow here around the Great Lakes, and some upslope snow showers here into the Appalachians, and our next storm moving into the west with some rain and snow here. I'm going to move through this pretty quickly, and again, we're going to break it down in detail in just a moment, but high pressure moving into the east. You've got some ridging here, some mixed precipitation possible across parts of the northern plains, and then snow moving into the Northeast. Now as we move into Christmas, and temperatures behind this system aren't really that much colder. In fact, we may start to warm up as our weather pattern does start to shift up. Let's break everything down, starting here into the Great Lakes, and then we'll move into the Northeast. You've got the snow showers going here off of the lakes as we move through the overnight into Saturday. Your timestamp right here. I had to figure out which direction it was. I've moved it on you a little bit. I put it on top of the map. Hopefully that makes it a little easier for you to follow along. Those snow showers continue downwind of the lakes through Saturday, and we'll see that start to back off as we head into Sunday. There could be a few lingering snow showers. Otherwise, high pressure builds in, and we start to dry out, not just here, but also into the Northeast too, with temperatures getting pretty cold here as high pressure settles in. And then we're starting to track our next system, which will begin to move into the Great Lakes. We'll first start to see the snow across the northern plains, and then that quickly moves into Wisconsin, heading into early Monday morning. Through the day Monday, we start to see the snow really kind of pick up from Traverse City into central Michigan, into southern parts of Ontario. As our Clipper system moves east, it's going to be mostly rain, really south of, say, Dayton. You get south into Indiana, down into Kentucky. We're talking about just rain here, and then some heavier snow could start to pick up for places like Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. The I-81 corridor could get a little tricky there early Christmas Eve morning, and then as the snow slips off to the south and east, it falls apart as it gets near the I-95 corridor. So maybe a few flurries or so into the New York City metro, into Boston. At this point, it's a little too early to talk totals, and then that moves away. As we get toward Christmas, temperatures start to warm up across the Mid-South, down to the Ohio Valley, with some rain showers working back north. So the day after Christmas, we start to see rain now moving into parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, all the way into southern Ontario. Again, warm enough that this really warm and kind of strange weather pattern brings temperatures back above average. I say strange, but come on. I mean, I've spent Christmas in my shorts before in a t-shirt. Maybe a little too warm, cool for that, though, in some areas. But definitely warm enough for some rain as we head into Saturday. These are your 2-day snow totals. This is the light snow that we're going to see continuing through Friday night into Saturday. So as we move ahead in time, this is actually going to start to disappear because now we're looking out ahead 2 days. So I want to show you our next system. It takes away the snow that's falling now, and now we're looking at the additional snow that's going to fall really Monday into Tuesday. And you can see that swath of snow from Wisconsin across the Great Lakes, some of it trying to get into northern Ohio, not much here, maybe an inch or two at best. A little more up here into parts of northern Michigan, at least the northern lower peninsula of Michigan. That's a mouthful. And some here into southern Ontario and into northern parts of New York. We may get a trace to maybe an inch or so here into southern New England, down into southern parts of New York, but you can see where the heaviest snow will likely be. Saturday's high temperatures, not just here, but also in and around the Great Lakes in the teens and single digits, well below zero up here into Canada. And this is that cold air that tries to spill over into the Northeast as we head now into Sunday. Sunday morning would be really cold. I mean, look at these numbers here into the part of the Adirondacks, 10 below zero, single digits across a good chunk of New York into Pennsylvania, maybe even into the single digits close to New York City, Hartford, Springfield. We're going to be cold here and well below zero for interior areas of the Northeast, where it's going to be downright bone chilling here, especially in the Maine, with temperatures dropping into the single digits and teens. Another cold morning on Monday, too. Look at this, near or below zero for a good chunk of these same areas. We do start to modify this air mass, though, as we head into next week. Let's go to the south as we work our way around the country. High pressure starts to build in this weekend. But first, we've got to deal with a little bit of snow as we head through Friday night for the southern Appalachians from West Virginia down here in North Carolina, the Cumberland Highlands, or the Cumberland Plateau, rather, here in eastern Kentucky, and down into parts of Tennessee. Maybe a little bit of snow here. Not much, though. That wraps up pretty quickly. High pressure builds in, and we're fairly tranquil as we head through Saturday across the south. Florida even looking good, too. High pressure starts to nose in. Temperatures are pretty cool here, though. Not the coldest air of the season, but chilly through Sunday. And then as high pressure moves off to our east, we start to see the showers increase in Florida and also across Arkansas up into Missouri as that southerly and almost southwesterly flow starts to develop. To the north of that, that's where the snow will be, but there's your rain pushing in and really almost up the Ohio River as we head into Monday night and Tuesday. Christmas Eve, Tuesday, maybe some light snow showers here into the Appalachians, and look, maybe even some mixed precip here into the D.C. area, the Delmarva, maybe. This isn't going to be a big snow by any stretch. Otherwise, we're starting to look wet here along the coastal areas of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and quite a bit of moisture moving north off the Gulf of Mexico as we head into Tuesday. Some of these storms could be strong. That's a time period that I think we need to watch. Christmas Eve night, yeah, we may be dealing with some thunderstorms as we get into early Christmas morning. Fairly quiet here into parts of the mid-Atlantic, but wet on Christmas Day here up and down the Mississippi River, all the way north to Chicago, and then showers scattered around and about as we head through Thursday, the 26th, and now we're headed into Friday with quite a bit of rain. Moving east with our next system, it's going to be a soggy week, really, pretty much everywhere across the southeast. Looking at these temperatures in detail as we get up Saturday morning, you can see that cold air really pushing into the south. High temperatures on Saturday, though. A little bit cooler, though. Now we're looking at 40s, some 30s here across the Tennessee Valley, not getting above freezing here into the mountains and really north of this line up into Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. But across the south, I mean, chilly, too. Into the afternoon, we'll barely crack 50 here into South Georgia, right along the coast of the low country of South Carolina, down into Florida, even here, Orlando in the 50s, barely cracking 50 back towards Destin, too, and out toward Tallahassee. New Orleans near 50 and a little bit warmer back towards the Gulf Coast as we see temperatures in Houston start to warm up a little bit. Sunday morning will be another cold morning. Widespread 20s now from Arkansas down into Mississippi and Alabama, North Georgia, teens and 20s up here into the Appalachians. And as we move into Sunday, this is where the weather pattern starts to shift. You can see some of that warm air working back up here into Arkansas, parts of Oklahoma, East Texas, and your real cold air up in here starts to retreat as we head into Monday. You can see the warm air working up into the Tennessee Valley. Nashville, we're close to 50. Knoxville stuck in the 40s still. Even over towards Charlotte, we're in the 40s. We may be stuck in the 30s for another day from Richmond over to Raleigh. Almost a bit of a wedge taking shape here as that cold air gets pushed down the east side of the mountains out ahead of our next system. And then once we move toward Christmas Eve, again, a little bit of snow into the northeast. We've talked about that, but way too warm for any snow here. Showers, maybe some thunderstorms. Temperatures warming up into the 50s, maybe even the 60s finally, back across Alabama and Mississippi. And seasonably cool is what we'll say here from the Mid-South into the Ohio Valley. And then heading toward the end of the week, temperatures, I mean, relatively mild for this time of year. We've certainly had much colder winters. A closer look at the central United States now as we head through the weekend. There's that light snow that tries to push through parts of North Dakota, maybe even South Dakota, overnight into early Saturday. Not much with that. Otherwise, dry conditions through Saturday. It's high pressure now shifting off to the east. We've got a southerly flow out here ahead of the mountains. That's going to bring our temperatures up all the way up into eastern Montana, way above average here, and dry. Weak system moving through the northern plains could bring a little bit of mixed precip to parts of North Dakota. Otherwise, that kicks off to the east, and we're quiet here across the south from Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Kansas, Nebraska. Not bad at all this weekend. And then there's that stripe of snow that moves east toward the Great Lakes. That's going to put that snow that we've already talked about into Michigan. There are some showers breaking out as we get toward Tuesday. So now on Christmas Eve, we start to see that return flow interact with our next system that starts to move out of Texas and off to the east. So this is our next trough, if you will, or maybe even upper low that could cause some severe thunderstorms. Still too early on that. I don't know that that's the one we need to watch, but right here along the Gulf Coast, there could be enough instability that we get some strong storms. And then as we head into Christmas Day, wet here, some snow back across the Rockies, this system kicks east, and now I think you've got to watch this trough as it moves out of the plains. Watch out ahead of it here from Texas, Oklahoma, down into the deep south. As it moves east, there could be some strong storms embedded in that. Here's a look at your temperatures in detail as we head through the weekend. A cold start here across the northern plains, near or below zero from the Twin Cities. North of that, as we move into Saturday afternoon, temperatures, I told you, it's going to be warm all the way up into Montana. 50s up here, maybe even breaking into the mid-50s in some cases. Your cold air is really here, and it's been below average across the eastern United States for a good chunk of the month, and that continues this weekend with those above normal temperatures across the west. As we head into Sunday, highs back into the mid-60s from Dallas all the way down to San Antonio, and then up here into Denver. Look at that. We may crack 60 also into western Kansas and western Nebraska. Your cold air still stuck up to the north. Some cooling, though, as we head into the late part of this week. It's going to take a little while to get there, though. First, we'll feel it here. It's not that cool, though, right? We go from the 50s to the 40s. It's not like we're getting a lot of Arctic air plunging south into the heart of Texas. That's just not happening this week. And if you look at Christmas Day, this would be your afternoon high temperature somewhere near here. 40s here from Montana all the way down into the plain states. And there comes some colder air moving into the Rockies as we head into the weekend. Out west, the next storm impacting the coastal areas of Oregon, Washington, also Northern California. It's going to bring some rain and snow here on Saturday. Those snow levels are pretty high, but there will be some decent accumulation. The wind will pick up, and we're going to see quite a bit of rain out of this too. As we move into Saturday night, that rain and snow moves further to the north and east. Now we've got the heavy snow into parts of British Columbia, into eastern Washington, over into Idaho, and even Montana. Some rain and snow moving here, and some lighter snow and rain showers down here into the Sierra. Our next storm really pounds the west as we head into Sunday afternoon. This is also going to be a system that brings in a lot of warm air, so snow levels, again, high here. Heavy rain moving into Northern California, maybe some heavy mountain snow too, again here into the mountains of Idaho. This one might be a little bit further south into parts of Wyoming. And then as we head into Monday, the 23rd, another system into the west. It's just relentless here with more snow. And these snow levels may be a little lower up here into British Columbia and Washington, so some heavier snow also moving into the Sierra. This is a little bit further south, some colder air digging in here, and that would put that heavy snow on Christmas Eve, I think, really from central California, maybe even into the southern Sierra. And if you look closely at this, heading into Christmas Eve night, snow moving into Nevada, also into the Wasatch. So we could be waking up to a white Christmas if you're taking a ski vacation into the mountains of Utah, Colorado, not quite south into, I don't know that it's going to get into Arizona, New Mexico. It looks like it's mostly just to your north, at least the brunt of the precip here. And then, I mean, it's a broken record. Another storm. Pretty warm here, especially from Phoenix over to even up to Flagstaff. I mean, you get up into the mountains, you think you're going to be really cold. We could be in the 50s up here. So maybe 40s, but still pretty mild for this time of year compared to where we could be. And then across Southern California, quite mild too. Cold here into the Intermountain West. That's typical, right? You get up into the elevation. Warm across the Central Valley, temperatures in the 60s. But there are some changes coming. It's going to take a little while to get there. And again, I think it's really towards the end of the week. Temperatures in the Intermountain West, look at this, near or below zero in some cases. So we're getting colder across the West. All right, let's big picture things as we head through next week. We've talked a lot about that across pretty much the entire country. If you missed your spot, you can go back and watch it again. But I want to push the European past next weekend just to kind of see what's going on. And I think one thing you've got to watch, I'm not going to say we're going to get a northeast snowstorm next week or this storm is going to be moving into the west, but I think we've got these pieces of energy that could be riding through as our cold reinforces back down into the central and eastern U.S. And my question is, will something end up forming along this trough? And do we get a snowstorm somewhere? I think if you're going to see it, watch out the 29th through that first week of January. All right, that's all I got. I know it's a bit of a long video. Let me know what you think about this format. We kind of dig in a little more into some of the areas that we don't dig into as much. Regionally forecasting here. I always love hearing from you guys down below, especially those of you who watch the channel almost every day. I value your input and I appreciate you watching. See you next time.